What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and today we've got my girl Pat back, and we are talking things sustainable fitness again. You guys loved this episode so much that we wanted to come back and give you a part 2 and really dive deeper into what sustainable fitness is and isn't. So I'm going to let Pat reintroduce herself, give you guys a little recap of what we talked about last time, and then we're going to jump right in.
Yay, Julie, thank you so much for having me again. And hello, everyone. If you don't know me yet, or if you haven't listened to the previous episode, I'm Pat. I'm your sustainable fitness and lifestyle coach. And honestly, what I help perfectionist and type A women do is I help you look fucking hot without sacrificing your health. And that I do through habit changes and really helping you to change your lifestyle through habit coaching. So my story is that I competed in bodybuilding. So I really took my body to extremes. I did extreme dieting, extreme cardio, and I lost my period when I was 27. And going through that, like I had a medal, I was on stage and everyone was celebrating me like, Pat, oh my God, it's so amazing, like, what you achieved. And it was amazing what I achieved because it was hard fucking work, okay? But I also sacrificed my health. I also sacrificed my social life. And this is something that I do not want to let any other women do who do not decide to do this on a professional level, right? Like, for me, like, if you want to compete and go on stage, by all means, but if you just want to feel good, feel confident, look good, and feel healthy in your everyday life, I will never ever let you go to those types of extremes. So this is why I'm a sustainable fitness coach, fitness and lifestyle coach, because ultimately what we're changing here is your lifestyle, because I want you to live this fit lifestyle for the rest of your life, not just for the next 8 weeks. And that's basically what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and that's really the way it should be. I agree with you. I know a lot of people think that they have these goals and they think that they want to achieve these certain body types and things like that, but they don't realize how unhealthy it can actually be. And I love that you always bring up how you lost your period. Like, we're not supposed to do that. It's like, I know there's a lot of birth controls and everything that do that, and I'm about to go on a little mini tangent for a second, but that's not healthy, ladies. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, like I don't really get my period either, and I have no other reason to, that's not okay. So it is so important that you guys remember that fitness is about the long run. It's not about what I'm going to look like when I go to the beach, what I'm going to look like by the end of the year. Am I going to be able to wear this bikini and not have any belly fat? Probably not. Probably not. So instead of thinking, okay, how can I look like this picture of this person? Think to yourself, how can I just feel better in my own skin and take care of my body the way it deserves to be taken care of?
Yeah, I do want to add here that because I have a background in bodybuilding and I focus in my training programming and in my training approach, I do focus on hypertrophy, which is muscle growth. And I do love working towards a visual goal as well, right? I do love that, but only in a sustainable way. So you can look fucking hot, but you can also do it in a sustainable way, and it will take you longer, but it doesn't mean that you can't look really fucking hot. And I'm going to
Yeah.
repeat this expression because you can, like, the two things are not in juxtaposition. So lately I've also heard this, like, love your body as it is, all of that. And yes, but it is not a crime to want to look good. But
Yes.
we have to shift away from this beach body, bikini body type of, definition of a good body. Because what is a bikini body? What's a bikini body? You put on a bikini and you have a fucking bikini body. Like, that's what it is, right? And I think the question is, are you comfortable in that? And maybe you're not, but comparing yourself to someone else and being like, I want to look in a bikini like that woman, that will never work. And I think this is one of our first talking points as well, the comparison trap. And what we wanted to talk about today, right,
Yes.
Julie, is
Yes. So
literally
basically,
this.
we are going to debunk a lot. We're going to talk about what does work. We're going to talk about what doesn't work. And let's jump into comparison because you just said my very first thing of what doesn't work. And I mean, I've fallen into this trap too. You see a picture of somebody on Instagram and it can be a friend of yours. Like it doesn't have to be like a social media influencer. It can be like a friend. And she's been working really hard and it's not to discredit her work at all, but you wish you looked that way and you just have no idea what they've done, what they work they've put in, also what body kind they have. Like nobody, not everybody's body is the same. And I agree with you, we should be loving and appreciating our body, but we also shouldn't be comparing it to others because this is the only body we get. Like this is it, so we got to take care of it, and it doesn't hurt to want to better it at all. I mean, I currently just finished a like mini cut, I guess I would call it. And I was, you know what? This is actually a great story for this because I only dropped 5 pounds. And I like didn't go too far because I started to notice that the less and less I was eating, the more and more I wasn't feeling good. And I fell into this trap where I was like, "Oh my god, no, I want to like get to this percentage and this." And it was like, "Julie, no. No. Stop." And had I kept going, I probably would have kept losing the weight like over time, but I stopped because I was like, I'm starting to not feel good. And just because I wanted to look like this girl and I had this idea, it was like, no, no. And I have to get myself out of those traps too. I used to fall into them a lot more frequently when I was younger, but it happens. And we can't let that get in the way because there's that phrase that I will say till the day I die, that comparison is the thief of joy. I've heard it from many different women on social media, and it's so true. When you look at somebody else's body and you see how hard they've worked, we should just be proud. We shouldn't be trying to say, hey, I want to look like that. You can use it as drive and you can want to better your own body too, but we can't fall into that trap.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you said that. Like I also just went through a mini cut, actually. I did 6 weeks. I was gonna plan 8 weeks because I always set a limit of like, okay, we're doing this for 8 weeks, and I know that after 8 weeks this is done. So I can focus. So I won't go into a fat loss phase forever because that will kill you. You
No.
will like lose all joy in life. So I set myself to lose 3 kilos in 8 weeks. 3 kilos are like 6, 7 pounds, maybe
Yeah.
7 pounds probably.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do is lean out. Like I was already happy with my body, but I just wanted to show my lines a little bit more, right? And and I was doing it with a few clients of mine because I have this like 8 week program, which is in 8 weeks. What can we do? And I teach you the sustainable structures and systems. So then after the 8 weeks, so it's not like, a fat loss, like it's not a weight loss program,
Yeah.
but it's teaching the structures that you can set up for yourself to lose weight in a sustainable way. And after the 8 weeks, you learn, how to do it for the rest of your life. And basically, I was doing the same program with my clients. And after 6 weeks, I actually lost the 3 kilos that I wanted. And then 6 weeks, I was like, I still have 2 weeks left, but like, do I want to? And I was like, no, hell fucking no. I'm going to reverse myself out of it. I'm going to, enjoy eating more food again.
Yeah.
And so the same thing happened to you as well. Like, after a while, you just decided, okay, like I have lost enough, like I have reached my goal and I'm not happy anymore. So I'm going to course correct. And that's okay. And I think a lot of women, like when they come to me, and I'm sure that when they come to you as well, they're like, I want to get to this weight, right? And I'm like, okay, great. We take this weight as your direction, but that's not your end goal. Because a lot of the times, what I see is that we say, let's say someone wants to lose 6 kilos, okay? And they want to get to 70 kilos, right?
Ugh.
And on the way there, after like 6 weeks, they're not 70 kilos yet, but they're like, Pat, I'm already feeling so good. And I'm actually really happy with my body. So now I want to go into maintenance, or I want to like build more muscle, and we go into a surplus, you know? And
Yeah.
they hadn't even reached the goal weight that they put at the start. So I think it's also like giving you permission to start going on this journey, but then you don't have to push it until you get to this number that you came up with
Yeah.
without any other context. Because there are so many other things that will change in your body. You will feel better, you will have more energy, your body will change already. And maybe you don't even get to, that goal weight that you had, but you already look fucking hot, And
Yes.
if you're happy with how you look, who the fuck cares about what the scale shows, right?
Nobody should, because honestly, I just had a conversation with one of my clients yesterday. She has lost 90 pounds. And yeah,
Holy moly.
90 pounds. And she said to me, I just wish I could lose 10 more. And I wanted to strangle her. Like,
No.
you work so hard. You've lost 90 pounds. Now, granted, when you hear the words 90 pounds, like she was in a very unhealthy stage of her life.
Mm,
She was drinking a lot. She wasn't eating the proper food. So like, she's made some drastic changes.
mm.
And I said to her, and it's been a year, like it's been a full year of her losing 90 pounds. So that's, I think, and I know you'll agree with it too, like a very steady way of losing 90 pounds. Like she didn't just lose it in 3 months. And I said to her, I was like, why? Like, why 10 more? Because she looks amazing. And I said to her, I was like, I'm happy to help you finish off the 10, but like, why? Like,
Exactly.
why
Why?
10 more? And it's just the word. She just wants to be able to say she's lost 100 pounds. She wants to be under 200 pounds. But meanwhile, she is 5'11". So she's very tall.
Oh, yeah.
I told her, I was like, if you lost 10 more pounds, like, yes, it's sustainable. We can get you there. But it doesn't sound like you want to lose 10 more pounds because you are unhappy with your body. It sounds like you've got these numbers in your head and you just want to be able to say that you've hit those numbers. And I've been there too. I used to be, God, back in like when I was 16, 145 pounds, and I'm 5'9". So I'm also really tall. And that was really, really thin. And
Mm.
I remember when I jumped up to about 160 after starting to weight train, it then became 170 of like me being strong, but 170 pounds. And my doctor said to me a couple years later, she was like, I've noticed you've gained some weight. And I was like, yeah, I can deadlift now. Like people don't have the bad thing is a lot of people don't have a healthy relationship with the numbers.
The
What
numbers.
I would almost recommend is that then I don't want to say don't look at the numbers because that's how you track, but you definitely need somebody like me or like Pat to help you understand these numbers and to help you understand when you just have this emotional attachment to the numbers versus when the numbers are actually good data points.
Yeah. I actually always say the numbers are just data points. It's emotionless. They mean nothing in themselves. Like you telling me that you stepped on the scale this morning and you weighed X amount, it doesn't mean anything, nor to me, nor anyone. How is your body composition? How tall are you? What's your activity level? How are you eating at the moment? So even like, first of all, like I want to like congratulate you and your client. Like that is huge. It's huge. And you know what? Like losing 90 pounds in like a year, that means that, when you're starting from that, like kind of like an unhealthy space, the first thing that you need to do is change your habits. And the first few months, usually people don't even lose that much weight because first we need to substitute the Kit Kats to protein bars. We need to, substitute the or like, learn our
Every
portion sizes. And instead of eating two full plates for dinner, we cut it down to one. And that, like, changing these habits takes time. So like, I know how much work that is, and your client, honestly, like, hats off. And I hope that she has these habits really ingrained, because that's the only way that she will continue to keep the weight off.
Oh
Because
yeah.
if someone loses 90 pounds in 3 months, which is like, to me, it's like, are you fucking crazy? That means that like their habits wouldn't have been changed.
Mhm.
So the moment they finish that weight loss process, they go back to the same habits that they had before, and they will regain it straight
Because
away.
all they cared about was a number. And
Yeah.
what they probably did is just stopped eating. And
Yeah.
that's also not okay. And I wrote that down too. I said a lot of people think that they can just stop something. And
Mm.
it's like, you know what? You can, but you can't. You have to replace things. So,
Yeah.
like you said, instead of having Kit Kats and chocolate all the time, now we swap it with something else. So, I have a friend, actually, she's not my client, but I was so proud of her because she told me, she was like, I love cookies. Like, I'm obsessed with cookies. Growing up, I used to have cookies every night for dinner. And I noticed that she's leaned out a little bit. And I was like, what have you been doing? And she said, well, I've heard like you talking, and I have now swapped out cookies for protein bars at night. And I was like, oh my God. And she's happy with the way she's at now. She's like, just that swap of having that sweet thing, but having it be instead of a chocolate chip cookie. Not that there's anything wrong with having a chocolate chip cookie, but we talked about this in the last episode. It's when you have it all the time
Yeah.
and it doesn't become a treat anymore, it becomes part of your diet. Maybe it's time to reconsider it and swap it for it can be like whatever protein bar you want. Like she likes the Power Crunch ones because she says she thinks they taste like Kit Kat bars. I was like, amazing. And so she has a different one every night. She's like, oh my God, tonight I'm having the strawberry one. Last night I had the vanilla one. Like it's, you can make it fun and
Yeah.
you can swap things, but you can't just stop. You can't just expect yourself. If you're an ice cream person, you can't just stop. Get protein shakes and make a ninja creamy ice cream. Like get Halo Top, get like the low calorie ones, like
I was gonna say Halo Top, like, all the way, like
all
fully.
the way, all the way. Oh my God, the strawberry Halo Top is my
Oh,
vice right now. But find things that work for you and swap it because yes, you can have your ice cream. And then yes, like you can go out and get a regular ice cream every now and then, but it's when you're having it all the time that's not okay. And just stopping it and not replacing it and having it with just chicken, rice, and beans,
mm,
you're
yeah.
gonna die from boredom.
It's
Like,
it's
to be
it's a
honest.
process for sure. So I also have clients who have sodas, like fizzy drinks, quite often. And what we do there is not just like, Pat, I know that I need to stop drinking these. And I'm like, yes, but not from one day to another. So what we do is, first of all, can we have one day where you don't have any? So out of the 7 days, we say Monday is no fizzy Monday. And then secondly, can you swap your like the sugary types to light or a zero version, right? And then week by week, or maybe every 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how we go, we come up with a second day that you won't have it, and slowly, 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 we're phasing it out. But it's not from one day to another.
No, and you know what the best part is? My favorite thing about swapping foods out is how you stop liking it after a while. So
Mhm.
I used to be, and I don't know why, because now it disgusts me. I used to love Kraft mac and cheese. It's because I grew up with it. You know what I mean? My mom would make it, and when you're a little kid, like that's amazing and all these things. But like now when I watch people eat it, I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. Like I can't look at it the same way. I'm like, why don't you make like homemade mac and cheese with like actual ingredients, not powdered cheese? And yes, I am knocking it. I'm sorry. But like all these foods that like I used to love growing up, and then I thought they were just, oh, mac and cheese. Cheese has protein. Oh, it's great for me. It's not. That's not mac and cheese. And I like no shame, no judgment to anybody who that's like your treat meal of choice, or that's your cheat meal of choice, or whatever words you want to use for it, go for it. But it's funny because having it had been something that was a regular part of my diet growing up, and now I've adapted my palate, it doesn't taste the same. It doesn't taste good anymore. And it's the same thing even with like fatty meat. Like if you were to get like the really lean ground meat at the store versus like the really fatty ones, you can taste the difference. So your body adjusts in so many ways that you don't even think it does.
Absolutely. I have the same with milk chocolate. I don't enjoy milk chocolate anymore at all. It's like so because I changed to dark chocolate, which actually is healthy for you, you know? So you can put like, I actually melt dark chocolate on top of my oatmeal. I put it into my yogurts, everywhere, right? But I
Yeah.
can't eat milk chocolate anymore because it's just so sweet and so, and it's I just, yeah, it's your taste buds and your body, how it processes it, it completely changes. So it's also, again, a process of a lifestyle change. But this also didn't happen to me from one day to another, right? It took me years. And
Oh,
now that's where we're at. Yeah.
I remember when I was in college and we would always have Taco Tuesdays. And for some reason, we also made it with mac and cheese. And I would just my form of meal prepping was getting the craft like little cups. And I thought that was I know. I thought that was enough. And the ground beef was always super fatty beef. And like it's like, but was that actually doing me any good? And it was the simple swaps of getting like the lower calorie tortillas, getting the ground turkey instead of ground beef. Not that there's anything wrong with ground beef, but you got to make sure you're getting the lean ground beef.
Lean one, yeah.
Um, and then adding like maybe having like a taco salad one night instead, maybe not having the mac and cheese sometimes, or swapping it for something else. Like it's just it's really amazing how simple swaps will actually make you feel better rather than full on stopping.
100%. And I think we also don't want to bash anyone who's like, you know, currently eating that way because we
No.
also did eat that way. Like, honestly, like our environment and how we grew up really influences what we deem as normal in terms of eating, right? Or in terms of exercise. You know, if your parents or if your family is not a sporty family, then you will have never had the experience of like, okay, it's normal to go out on a run on Saturdays, you know, or a walk after the Sunday family lunch. And it's the same thing if your family and there is like also no, I don't want to talk like, you know, bad about my parents either, or anyone's parents, but if
No.
they didn't have the knowledge of like, they didn't know better, then that's how you grew up with those foods. And now as adults, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to improve this. And what I really find like in the whole fitness industry and everything like recently this whole intuitive eating, like I want to eat intuitively, it really became like a big thing, and I'm like, that is amazing, like me too, and I eat intuitively. But you know what, if you have never in your life tracked your food, have had you know a basic level of nutrition education, like what are carbs, what are fats, what are proteins, how much protein am I eating in a day? If you don't know that, if you've never learned that, then you cannot eat intuitively in a healthy way. So intuitive eating is not just like, I'm going to listen to my body, and if my body tells me that I need to eat that burger with, you know, a huge french fries, like a huge portion, and a coleslaw, then and with Coke, that's not intuitive eating.
No.
Intuitive eating is learning what your body needs to fuel itself and what your body needs, you know, in terms of treats and enjoying itself as well, but without damaging, you know, your health. Then, only then can you start intuitive eating. So I think like Julie agrees with me as well. And I know that. So I, for example, coach nutrition with macro and calorie counting. And it's not so that people for the rest of their lives calorie count and track everything that they're eating. It's a tool, it's an educational tool for nutrition that we never learn at home or in schools, which is a huge fucking problem in the education system everywhere on the world, in the world, that we just don't know anything about what we put into our bodies. And it's mind-blowing to me. So it is sad, but it is in the hands of Julie and like people like Julie and I to teach adults, it's like adult education
Yeah.
about how to eat for their health. And yeah, so intuitive eating only works if you learn how to eat intuitively.
Well, I think you just hit two very important points. Number one, don't judge where you came from. Because, like, for example, like I said, like I was raised on certain foods and certain lifestyles, and it is in no shape or form anybody's fault. Like that's just the way we're raised. But I do agree with you that if you hit a point where you want to better yourself, it is now your responsibility. You could be raised a certain way and never change, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you hit a point and you want to change your lifestyle, you want to change your body composition for good reasons, for whatever kind of reasons, it is your responsibility. The second thing though too is like you said, if you don't have the proper education, you do need help doing it. Like this can be a very dangerous process if you don't know what you're doing. There's a lot of people who undereat and overeat, and they don't even know they're doing that because food and our body is like a science. And if you're not doing it in the right way, and this isn't meant to scare anybody, but if you're not doing it with a professional, it's kind of like, I mean, the best comparison I can give is it's like taking medication that you don't even know what you're taking. And you don't know how much you're supposed to be taking and why you should be taking it. And yes, it's food. You know, you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to be eating vegetables. I'm supposed to be eating like meat and stuff like that. But it's the funny thing too is the first thing that comes to my mind is like people who are vegan or identify as vegans. I think that that's totally fine if that's what you prefer and that's what you want, but you could be a very unhealthy vegan too. Like it doesn't matter what you identify as, how you identify with your food or with your exercise preferences. You need to just make sure that you're running it by some kind of either fitness professional or healthcare professional who can help you make sure you're doing it the right way. Because, like you said, intuitive eating is hard as hell. Intuitive eating means that you eat when your body is hungry, for more or less words, and that you give your body what it needs based on how you feel that day. And sometimes each day is different. Like, especially for us women, we typically will eat about 500 calories more before we get our periods. And that's fine. But that doesn't mean we should be having 500 calories more of a whole tub of ice cream. It means maybe I can have 500 calories more of like some apples and peanut butter and string cheese and things like that. And the dark chocolate. Like you don't have to swap all your sweets out because life is not about totally eliminating all the things either. Remember, we said we're not stopping things, we're just trying to make things better. But at the same time, if you're not sure of what intuitive eating looks like for you, don't just say you're doing it. You got to figure out, okay, what is my baseline? Where should I be starting? How can I what is step 1 to intuitive eating? And if you don't know those steps, don't do it. It's like saying it's like driving a car. If you don't know how to start the car, please don't drive the car.
Yeah, I think one thing that you said and mentioned, like in just like very quickly, is like for you, like find out what intuitive eating is for you. What is your baseline? And this is why generic nutrition plans, generic workout plans, generic meal plans don't work for everyone. You need to find what works for you, what foods your body digests well, can really metabolize and really help you. So, what foods would bloat you? What foods would keep your waist tight? What foods can you eat before a longer run? What foods, like these are all things that are very, very different. So even when I coach people, they're just like, Pat, like, what's a good food that will not give me a tummy ache, before my run? And I'm like, I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you what works for my other clients. These are all examples. And now, in the next 3 weeks on your long runs, you're going to try all of them and see which one works for you. And yes, it is a process where you will have runs where you might have a little bit of a tummy ache, but without experimenting, you will never know. And so it's all very personal. And I also don't want to scare people in a way that it's not too complicated. There is a very simple structure to it. All you need to know is what are your calorie needs and what are your macronutrient needs, so your protein intake. And then obviously there are little things like fiber intake that's for your health, but you don't need to get a nutrition degree. You just need to know the basics, the real basics, which lots of people can explain to you. Like, the mainstream fitness industry and supplement industry will make it complicated for you. They will make every single food ingredient out to be like, this is gonna kill you, this is gonna cause heart attack, this is la la la. But it's not that complicated. It
It's
is much, much simpler than the supplement industry is trying to tell you, because just always think about it, like, what's their goal? They want to sell you the solution for the problem that they just made up for you, right? And
yes.
this is what I'm fighting every day as a sustainable fitness coach. Nothing is off limits. It's just find out what's good for you.
Yes. I mean, and that's why I say what I say about like, not having things every day, because at the end of the day, it's not that I don't want my clients to enjoy the cookie. It's not that I don't want them to have the ice cream or the mac and cheese or the unhealthy taco meat. It's I want you to feel good, and I know you want to feel good too. And if you know that these foods are not helping you, it doesn't mean you can never have them again. It just means that maybe it's time for some kind of a change. And it is true though, because the fitness industry and social media makes everything super freaking complicated. It's like, no, vegan's the best way. No, paleo's the best way. No, whole 30's the best way.
There
No,
is no
keto's
one best
yeah.
way.
Yeah, keto's the best way. No, high protein's the best way. I mean, it's like ugh. I get so angry because it's like, well, then how are you supposed to know what works for you when there's 10,000 different things you could try? And honestly, my best advice is just I stick with the not whole 30 because that's not I disagree with some of that, but natural foods, like foods in their most natural state. So less processed foods. Foods that you don't have to read 100 ingredients on. But if you want some that have a lot of ingredients, like you want those pantry foods, have them. I have them too. I love Cheez Its. I eat them all the time. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it gets so complicated and it gets so frustrating. And one of the things I wrote down too was keeping it simple. It doesn't have to be boring because I think a lot of people, when they hear simple, they think chicken, rice, and like green beans for dinner. And
Mm.
it's like, I mean, yeah, you could, but you're also missing your source of fat. Your chicken doesn't have to be plain. Your rice can be cooked in like chicken broth and make it taste better. Like you can do so much more than what you think you can, and you don't have to live in this box that social media tells you you have to live in. And because there's so many boxes, there's paleo, there's this, there's that, there's Pilates, there's strength training, there's this, there's that. Like there's so many things out there that are meant to be good because it's meant to appeal to everybody and help everybody find their thing. But instead, what it's doing is it's confusing everybody and it's making everybody think, well, where the hell am I supposed to start?
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy world out there, and it's very hard to really find what works for you, but that's what you need to do. And there are a few things, the baseline that everybody needs to do, and that's strength training. It doesn't have to be 5 times a week. It's 3 times, 40 minutes, you're in and out, but that's just something that's needed because you need to have muscles in your body for strength, for health, for your metabolism, for everything, for your functioning of your body, right? And but on top of that, if you don't enjoy that much, you just like do it because you need to, but then on top of that, you can do all the other things that you like. And then a second thing is from the nutrition part, you need to eat like a certain amount for sure, so you can't undereat. And then you need to look at your vegetable and your protein intake because for your health, it's just you need it. And other than that, how you do that, there are so many different ways of programming strength workouts. There are so many different ways of eating, right? So you can eat keto. Okay, I have my own opinions about different approaches, but nothing is inherently bad. But there are advantages and disadvantages to all, and you need to find what works for you, for your lifestyle. And I'm the advocate of eating everything in moderation and having your baseline, but then everything else you can eat everything. So obviously there are diets like the keto or low carb or stuff like that where you cut out actual food groups. I personally do not agree with this, but it can work for you. But then you really have to look at the health markers in your body. So for
Yeah.
example, the vegan diet as well, not eating any type of like animal source. I understand that some people have ethical reasons for it. Some people say that they feel better and lighter like that. That's fine. Okay. You know what? That's fine. You need to live your life according to your values. But you also need to live your life according to your health markers, which will be if you're eating a vegan diet, you need to supplement a few vitamins that you're not getting because you're not getting it from animal traces. And these are the things that you always need to have in mind, like whichever approach you're going for, which I do not advocate for extreme approaches, like, really cutting out certain things. And this is why for me, a vegan diet or a keto diet is a no-go. And if you want to do that, don't come to me. It is true. I'm just telling you, Julie is like laughing her booty off. Um, but yeah, then don't come to me because I advocate for a more rounded
Yeah.
approach to nutrition. And
Agree
I
with
will teach you, and Julie as well, we will teach you how to have your favorite foods, your processed foods as well. And it is very, very simple, 80-20. That's
Yeah.
all I can say. The 80-20.
Yeah.
80% of whole foods, 20% of soul foods, how I call it.
Ooh, 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Um,
I agree. I mean, I just don't think you can totally cut a food group. My own husband, at one point in time, he was not happy with what he saw. He's like when he looked in the mirror and he followed some athlete that did a whole week of only eating protein. And
mm,
Ryan lost 15 pounds in a week. And he looked like a stick by the end of the week because of course he was a young male, so they have all the testosterone to like help them burn the weight super fast. And it was really eye-opening for him because he was like, "Oh my god, that was so stupid. Like what am I doing?" And I agree. I think you just can't cut anything. And I know we keep going back to the whole concept of like you don't just stop and change in one day, but I really think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is they think that tomorrow I can just do this. They think I can just go to the gym and I'll look this way. No, it takes time and there is no simple, easy, this is all you got to do. It's a process and you can keep it simple. And it's not meant to be confusing because the simple things like going for walks, drinking a lot of water, weight training, because that's necessary. You don't have to do it 5 days a week. You can do it twice, one day upper body, one day lower body. Those things are necessary. Eating your protein, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, that's necessary. Like you need to do those things. So if you can keep it simple and you can work with somebody who will help you keep it simple, then that's amazing. If you try to make it complicated and you look for a complicated solution, you're going to find one because there's plenty of them out there. And there's plenty of people who advocate, oh, no, no, no. I have this shake in the morning, but then only half of this thing in the afternoon, and then a little bit of this here, and then a little bit of this there.
And I
Who
can only eat this if prior to that I eat that, and then afterwards I have to do that. And it's like a very fucking like chill the fuck out, dude. Like
has
it's not
time
as complicated.
Who has time for that? My very first episode of the Busy Life podcast, I went over my 5 finger rule to success. And I think that that's it. It's, are you too stressed? Because that's another thing we didn't even tackle is your stress levels will deteriorate your body. So that's the first
Mhm.
thing. The second thing I said is, are you sleeping well? Because that also will not get you what you want. So stress, sleep. The third thing is I said, are you moving your body? And notice I didn't say, are you going to the gym 5 days a week and doing Pilates 4 times and this, that. I just said, are you moving your body? Because if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you will never get what you want. The fourth thing is, are you fueling your body? Because that's not helpful either. When you undereat, it's like constantly having to fill up a car that's only on a quarter tank of gas. You're never going to get there. You always have to refill it. Whereas if you fill it up, you can enjoy the rest of your trip without having to go refill for gas. And then the last thing is, are you drinking your water? Because a lot of people don't even realize water. How much is it? Like, aren't we like 70% water? If you are dehydrated, your body mixes up like eating what either your hunger signals and your dehydration signals. Half of the weight loss battle is drinking a lot of water. If you can follow those 5 things, I think Pat and I would agree that if you can do those 5 things with a professional, you will see a drastic change in your life for the better. Control your stress, control your sleep, control your food, control your movements, and control your water intake. And then do those in a way that's going to work for you. Because at the end of the day, I know people are going to hear this episode. They're going to be like, so wait, what am I going to do? Do those. And then do it with somebody like Pat. Do it with somebody like me who will help you find out what that looks like for you. Take Pat's advice of the 80-20 rule. Don't totally cut ice cream. Don't totally cut the things that you love because you're going to miss them. And then what's going to happen is you're going to binge on them.
Mhm.
So I think that's really it. And when you totally cut something, like my sister had a friend who went vegan, and I love that you said like go check your labs because so many of her vitamin levels were off that she had to change to being a pescatarian.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the 5 rules. It's really, I always say that fitness and health is simple, but it's not easy, right? Because it's simple. You have these 5 main ingredients, let's say, but you need to find how to incorporate that for you and what the actual amounts and portions are for you, right? So there are people who thrive on much less sleep than I do, for example, or who need more sleep than I do. And nothing is right or wrong, but you do need to figure it out for yourself. And that's the same for your stress levels. Some people can take much more stress than others. Same for your water intake. Well, water intake is quite like, it can be quite the same level. Like
Yeah.
there's like a certain like minimum, but how to get that in, and obviously nutrition and workouts, that's a full on, you could give like a full course on both of them. But there are
Oh,
so many different solutions, and there is multiple solutions that could work for you.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, I hope that this episode helps people realize that there are plenty of solutions and it's okay to be overwhelmed by a lot of it because it's overwhelming even for us as like coaches and trainers because it's hard to help navigate our clients in the right direction. But there are solutions. There are people out there that are willing to help, like Pat and myself. And you just gotta be able to put one foot in front of the other and try every day and put in the work, and you will see the results. You will.
Yeah, and I think if someone's asking themselves, okay, but how should I choose a coach or how should I choose an approach? I would tell you two things. One, make sure that the coach that you start working with, that you have the same values, that they are professional, you can look up to them as the authority, you can trust them, and that you like them as a person, that you vibe. It is so underrated, but if we are working together every week and we have to get on a call every 2 weeks, and you feel like, fuck, I have to talk to Pat again, then don't work with me, like because that's going to be difficult, and you're not going to, it's very important that you choose the right coach. But if you align with, how I look at food and how Julie looks at, sustainability, then we are probably for you. I mean, if you are still here, then you probably are like thinking, yeah, I like this too. And the second thing is, always ask yourself, if you look at a coach or an approach, always ask yourself, what is the ultimate purpose of this person? So if they are saying they are advocating for a certain approach, is that because they are affiliated with a company who then sells the solution for that problem that they say, or is it because they went through a journey and they themselves experienced that that was the best approach, and they come from the health perspective as well, not just the weight loss perspective? So just make sure that the ultimate, that you understand the ultimate purpose of a person. Are they just trying to sell you something, and are they trying to chain you to themselves so you'll never be able to do it on your own? Or are they trying to teach you and educate you and help you find an approach that works for you, and then when you're ready, you can do it on your own?
Oh, I love that because you're not supposed to have a trainer for the rest of your life. This is to teach you.
Yeah.
Pat, I love you. I'm so happy that you came and did this with me again. If you guys haven't listened to the first episode, definitely go back and listen to it. I will link it in the description comments. And I'm so happy. I'm so
Yeah.
happy because
Me too. I love these conversations with you. It's just
yes.
so, I can be myself. I can curse.
Oh,
I can do all the things.
good. I always say I want these episodes to feel like we're going for a walk in the park together. And hopefully you guys feel the same way. You feel like you got your besties, Julie and Pat, thinking of your best interests and wanting to help you. Where can they reach you if they are like, I need to talk to Pat?
The best place is Instagram. I'm patricia.fitnesscoach. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn. If someone's a LinkedIn person, I make everyone's LinkedIn feed less boring with fitness content. So if you're a corporate girly, then find me there. My name is Patricia Poor. And yeah, DM me, reach out to me. I would love to chat.
Yay! All right, guys. Well, hopefully, we have filled your day with so much more information. Please take a deep breath. Please know you are not alone. You got this. We're here to help you every step of the way. Re listen to this episode as many times as you want. Share it with your friends. And we are so proud of you. Take it one step at a time. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.